Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of Offsides and On One, a hockey podcast where we're loud, proud, and probably in the penalty box. I'm your host, Devin Moore, and I'm here to talk all things hockey. And we have got a lot to talk about, from milestones to incredible Halloween costumes and horrible hockey coverage. And this week in hockey has so much to offer, so let's get right into it. Okay, so first up, we had another milestone this week, and who else would it be from besides Sidney Crosby? Sid, again, had another milestone. What else is new? He hit 1,700 points this week against the Blues when they played in Pittsburgh on Monday night. And not only did Sid have that milestone in that game, but that game was just crazy. And while we're here, I'm going to talk about it because, well, what else is new? So in that game, the Penguins would score 2 goals in 55 seconds, which is ridiculous. But of course, as the Penguins always do, they decided to blow it later in the game. Thankfully, they did come back and ended up winning and beating the Blues. And back to Sid with this. The goal that he scored in this game was absolutely ridiculous. He had a lot of chances all night, and I think he was getting a little frustrated that, pucks just weren't going in the net for him. But in the end, it was all worth it because of the incredible breakaway goal that he scored. Sid comes barreling down the ice. The puck lands right on his stick, and he is gone. He puts his shot on the net, bounces off the pad of the goaltender. I believe it was Joel Hofer in net at that time. It bounces off Hofer and lands right back on Sid's stick, and of course, just puts it right back in the net. All by himself. Doesn't need any help. I mean, how much more Sidney Crosby does it get than that? I mean, if he's not going down on a knee to put a puck in the net, that is the most Sidney Crosby goal he can score. But yeah, it was incredible. And Brian Rust scored a super cool goal that game too. Another Crosby-esque goal from Rusty. It's been great to see a lot of that from him. But yeah, that whole game was really sick. And congrats to Sid on breaking yet another record and another milestone. I mean, how many more do we have? It seems like every game, every week, we have another Crosby milestone. It's incredible to see, and let's keep that up. Let's keep racking up the milestones here in Pittsburgh. So, of course, the biggest news from this past week in hockey was the Frozen Frenzy, which took place last Tuesday, October 28th, where all 32 teams played in one night. Now, of course, this could be maybe due to poor scheduling, but they've turned it into the special thing that is the Frozen Frenzy, which is great. It's like Hockey Christmas, but as I said last time we had this at the very beginning of the season, it's a lot to handle. But I had the TV on, I had the laptop going, I had the iPad going. I mean, every screen that I had a hockey game on it, so it was really awesome. And the first game I want to talk about from the Frozen Frenzy was that crazy Avs and Devils game. This game was just ridiculous. The final score was 8-4 with the Avalanche coming out on top. And it was a back and forth game all night long. I mean, obviously the Avs dominated because there's a bit of a goaltending situation going on in New Jersey. But that game was so much fun to watch. It was absolutely incredible. There was a hat trick in that game, which I'll talk more about later. And it was great. It was an absolute Avs masterclass, but it was definitely not a goaltending masterclass. The second thing that happened during the Frozen Frenzy was Connor Bedard scored his very first career hat trick against the Ottawa Senators. That whole game was a Bedard masterclass. I mean, truly, he put on a show. And the Blackhawks would go on to win this game, of course. And Connor Bedard, again, masterclass, he would go on to have a 4-point night with that hat trick and an assist. Now, another exciting thing that happened with a different Connor on the same night was Connor Hellebuyck let a goal in that he probably wishes he could have back because he scored it on himself. That was rough. It was kind of funny, but as a big Connor Hellebuyck fan, it was obviously hard to watch. But thankfully, the Jets would go on to win this game in overtime, 4-3, so it wasn't so bad. It could have been a lot worse, but yeah, it was a little bit rough. Go on and look up that video to see, because it was just, the puck was bouncing everywhere. Nobody knew where it was, and it unfortunately bounced off of Bucky's pad and made its way into the net. So now I want to rant for a little bit. If you watched last week's episode, you would remember how I very out of character decided to praise the Philadelphia Flyers and one Trevor Zegras. I would like to say right here, right now, I take back every single nice word I have ever said about Trevor Zegras ever in my life after the Battle of Pennsylvania on the Frozen Frenzy, because what a little rat that guy is. Since going to Philly, it has totally ruined him. And, yeah, what a rat. Truly, what a little rat. So, for a little context, the Battle of Pennsylvania kicked off the Frozen Frenzy at 6 o'clock last Tuesday, and that whole game was a joke. The refs were not there. We were not watching the same game, clearly. Clearly, if you watch this game and you aren't a Flyers fan, you would most likely agree with that statement. It was just... it was a mess. The whole game was a joke and a mess. But the reason I said what I said about Trevor Zegras just now is because he had decided that, there was a little scrum, things were getting rough. Obviously, it's the Battle of Pennsylvania. Tensions are high. They're always high. But there was a scrum. Noel Acciari ends up on the ground, and then this little rat, truly, what a little bitch this guy is. He's not actually fighting anybody. He's not getting mixed into the scrum. Once Acciari's on the ground already, the refs are already over there getting themselves involved. Zegras pulls his helmet off, and the look on Acciari's face when he stands up and sees this kid ripping his helmet off his head, it was like a smile, but also confusion. The look that he had on his face, because it was like, is he serious? Does he really want to go? And then the ref pulls him away, and as he's being pulled away by the ref, he looks at Connor Dewar and makes a remark about his mustache. Trevor Zegras, you wish, you little bitch, you wish you could grow a mustache like Dewey, because what are you talking about? Literally doesn't want involved in the scrum at all, goes over there, talks shit, and then gets pulled away by the ref. And it's like, oh, I can't do anything, he pulled me away. No, you little sissy. Go back over there, and if you want to talk shit, get mixed up in the scrum. I can't stand this guy. I literally, what happened? Philadelphia has ruined Trevor Zegras. He used to be so cool. What happened? Please free me. And if I could go back and delete the words that I said where, oh, I like Trevor Zegras, I want to give him his flowers, I'm going to be nice to Philly fans. Nope. I take it back. That is the last time I will ever do that. So I hope you enjoyed that, Philly fans. If you're even here, I'm sure you don't listen to this because, well, everything I just said. But I don't care. Never again will I say I like Trevor Zegras. Please and thank you. And Connor Dewar, your mustache is incredible. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. But yeah, that game was a nightmare. The Pens would go on to lose 2-3 in the shootout because in a ridiculous, of course this happened this way. Sidney Crosby came off the bench because the scrum was right next to the bench. And of course, he's going to see if he can get involved there. But Crosby came off the bench. So when it came time for a shootout, that meant that he was ineligible. Of course, right? Of course that would happen. Because that's never happened ever. Literally, when have you ever heard of that happening? But of course it happened to Sidney Crosby in Philadelphia, and these refs were, literally every single one of them must have been a Philly native, but whatever, I don't care. I'm not mad. But yeah, it was ridiculous. And Crosby was ineligible for the shootout, and we would go on to lose. But anyway, the Flyers are still super terrible, so things could be worse. It could be worse. We could be in a wild card battle with them or something, but we're not, so everything's okay. All right, rant over. And that's enough of that. Thank you for being with me through that, because I needed to get that off my chest. Anyway, I'm going to get into my game of the week really quick, and it's got to be that Avs versus Devils game, because, wow. Not only was it a high-scoring game, obviously, it was 8-4, but it was just so much fun to watch the whole time. It was so much fun to watch. Genuinely, I thought Markstrom was just going to hang it up after this game, because, yikes, comes back, finally, after, the Devs really have needed him recently, and then lets 8 past him. It was rough, but on a good note for the Avs, not the Devs, Victor Olofsson gets his first career hat trick and added 2 assists for a 5-point night. I mean, what a masterclass from this guy. Nathan MacKinnon would score twice and moved up to fourth on the Avs all-time scoring list. And the Avs power play went 4 for 6, making Avs fans just completely forget about their poor performance on the power play to start this season, because wow, that was impressive. And the Avalanche would snap the Devils' 8-game win streak after winning this game. When you look at it from a Devils fan's perspective, obviously it doesn't seem so bad because, they just won 8 games in a row. And really from just a hockey fan perspective, it doesn't seem that bad. Which, yeah, when you look at the base score, 8-4, you're like, woof. But then, oh, well, they just won 8 games in a row. So I guess it's not so horribly bad. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about that. Because, yeah, that's a horrible way to lose, but they just won 8 in a row. And they're leading their division. Like, it was one night. So, yeah, it's not too bad. And they still scored 4 goals. So, it's not like Devs fans, you don't have anything to worry about. Like, it's not... Some people on the internet are really blowing this up. But it's not that deep. It was one game, one night. And had some trouble for the goalie. Like, had a little trouble in net. It's not a big deal. Now I'm going to do the player of the week. So, player of the week, I decided, honestly, it was sort of a 3-way tie for player of the week this week between Victor Olofsson, Connor Bedard, and Sidney Crosby. All players that I've already talked about. But ultimately, I ended up going with Connor Bedard because of his first career hat trick. It was a great breakout performance from Bedard. Not to say that he's had a slow start to the season by any means, but of course expectations are always really high for him, and I think some people were expecting more from him, but this just shut everybody up, obviously. I mean, to go out there and score a hat trick like that. And then he also had an assist that night, so he had a 4-point night. But my honorable mention, of course, is Sidney Crosby, but Sid could be the player of the week every week, and that would get really boring. But yeah, Sid's my honorable mention because that goal that he scored against the Blues was ridiculous, and he's Sidney Crosby. So what else do you want from me? Okay, now, goalie of the week. Guess who it is again? Anthony Stolarz. It's Anthony Stolarz. Sorry I had to pick him again, but this also goes into the Zegras thing, because the sole reason that Anthony Stolarz is my goalie of the week is because when the Leafs play the Flyers on Saturday, there was a scrum, of course, and little Zegras was over there chirping, like he always does, and Anthony Stolarz makes his way from his crease over and grabs Zegras by the back of his jersey and just slowly pulls him away. He just slowly pulls him away from the scrum. Zegras doesn't. He's not arguing. He's not pulling. He's still talking. His mouth is still moving. But Anthony Stolarz just slowly pulls him away from the scrum. It was great. I love that. And that is the reason that Stolarz is my goalie of the week. But he also made 33 saves that game, and the Leafs came up with a 5-2 win. So that's a good performance that I believe deserves to have goalie of the week. And this is my show. So if you have a different opinion, make your own show. Thank you, Anthony Stolarz, for putting Trevor Zegras in his place. I really appreciate you. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and get into the league standings. So as of today, which is Monday, November 3rd at about 2 o'clock, the Montreal Canadiens lead the Atlantic with 18 points, but they are tied with the Detroit Red Wings, who also have 18 points. So there's a tie up there in Atlantic. Similarly, in the Metro, we have a tie between the Devils and the Penguins at 18 points. Then in the Central, we have the Avs leading with 19 points. And in the Pacific, of course, they still stink. And the Ducks lead with 15 points. And of course, the Avs lead the league with 19 points. Now, I just want to move into a few things that have been on my mind from listening to hockey shows and seeing things on the internet. A few surprises for me to start off this season, and I only have 2, but there are a few things that I think a lot of people would agree on. The first biggest surprise for me to begin this season is the Maple Leafs. They've been so lackluster. And I know last season was a little bit rough for them. And I know some people were expecting them to have a little trouble going into this season, considering it being their first season without Mitch Marner. But it's been kind of really rough. The Leafs are 6-5-1. They're 6th in the Atlantic Division. I mean, for me personally, that's way worse than I thought they were going to be. I mean, obviously I thought they were going to struggle, but 6-5-1 is kind of rough. The Leafs usually have a slow start, and they usually don't start picking it up until, December into the beginning of the following year. But I mean, man. But I think just overall, their style of play is what really has been a struggling point for them. They're just really, I think, relying too much on their star players, who obviously you can't rely on every night. Also that, and just they dump the puck and they're just like, well, hopefully Austin and Willie are down there somewhere. Like, just send it down the ice, don't ice it, and it'll find Austin. Like, no. No. From every Leafs game I have watched so far this season, that's what I'm gathering, is that they're literally just like, get pucks in deep, find our star forwards, which is not fair to anybody. And especially not Austin Matthews, because I still feel like he is really adjusting to playing without Mitch Marner. And, obviously that's going to take time. He's been so used to playing with that guy, and they had just such great chemistry, and it's just not fair. I feel like the way that they're really stars up in Toronto is really not great, and their goaltending has been iffy. I mean, Anthony Stolarz is great. Obviously, I've had him as my goalie of the week twice, which maybe I shouldn't, but hey, again, my show. But yeah, it's just their goaltending's been iffy. The defense isn't great. The offense is send it down the ice, and hopefully Austin Matthews is down there somewhere, but that's not always gonna work, obviously. So yeah, I think it's just chemistry's off. Everything's off in Toronto, and things need to be fixed. And I think now that unfortunately the Jays have lost in the World Series, that things are going to start, being talked about the Leafs more. Because all Toronto media has been Jays, obviously. But now the Leafs are really going to have to face their problems now, I think, because people are really going to be looking at them to fix it now that the Jays are no longer something that people are going to be talking about. Because everybody's sad, unfortunately. But yeah, just the Leafs in general have been lackluster. And I knew that it was going to be rough for them for a little bit, but I didn't think it was going to be this rough. Okay, so my next biggest surprise, and last biggest surprise, only had the two, but it's going to be another slow start, but not from a team, from a goaltender, and it's Jordan Binnington, because he's had a bit of a slow start to begin this season. The reason that I'm thinking this, because the Blues aren't really a favorite in any sense. Like, they'll probably go to the playoffs, or fight for a wild card spot, but they're certainly not like a contender right now. But the reason I bring this up is because what is Team Canada planning on doing if Jordan Binnington keeps up this pace? Because right now, Jordan Binnington is Team Canada's projected goalie for the 2026 Winter Olympics. But if he keeps this up, are they going to switch it up? Who knows? They don't really have a lot of options for goaltending in Canada right now, unfortunately. Well, fortunately enough for Team USA, but not for Team Canada. And if Binnington really keeps this up, what are they going to do? I mean, by no means am I saying he's having like a horrible performance or anything. He's still playing okay, but it's just that he's playing okay. He's not playing at Binnington level, and he has a 3.21 goals against average and an 860 save percentage, which again, not horrible, but like, I don't think that's what Team Canada is looking for. And if Binnington's their best option, things might be a little rough. I mean, they have Sam Montembeault that could go in there. Montembeault has been playing really good, but again, he can be a little finicky. So I don't know. I think Team Canada is in a sticky situation, and hopefully Binnington picks it up a little bit, or Montembeault, who knows? I mean, I would love to see Sam Montembeault in goal for Team Canada. I love him. I think he's great. So that would be cool to see him. But yeah, who knows what happens with Team Canada's goaltending situation. But I have a feeling that Binnington's going to come back around and pick it up again. But that was just something that's been on my mind, because what if he doesn't? but he has before, and he was great for them in the foreign nations, and obviously that's big, to be in net for your nation's team. So I think he'll really turn it around if that's something that they bring to his attention, that are like, well, hey, we're going to look at our other options too. I think that's a big thing that he's definitely going to start picking it up a bit, because I don't think he wants to lose that spot. But yeah, those were my biggest surprises so far this season. Really not that many, and they're not huge surprises, but there's just some things that have been on my mind for sure. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and get into the winners and losers of the week. First up, we're obviously going to have the winners. The first winner of the week is going to be Mitch Marner, and that is because he's just a nice guy. Last week when the Golden Knights played the Canes, unfortunately, Canes rookie Joel Nystrom took a slap shot to the face from Brayden McNabb, and it was rough. I mean, he was right to the ice, leaking everywhere. I mean, it was ugly. And Mitch Marner was right there and helped him stand up and kind of helped him get his balance, along with a couple other members of the Canes. But Marner was right there and sort of helped him get his balance and helped him up until one of the Canes trainers was able to come over and give him a towel and help him back over to the bench. But yeah, Mitch Marner's just a nice guy. I really wish he didn't play for the Golden Knights, but hey, life's not fair, so. Mitch Marner, if you ever want to become a Pittsburgh Penguin, please take a several $1 million pay cut, and then you can come to the Penguins. Let's start a petition. Let's start an offsides and on one petition to get Mitch Marner to come to Pittsburgh. We can start a GoFundMe. Hey, maybe it's possible with the extra cap space we'll have next year, but who knows? Who knows? Mitch Marner, please come help Sid and Gino and Tanger win another cup. Anyway, yeah, Mitch Marner's a nice guy. Love the guy. Our second winner of the week is going to Kevin Hayes. Because, of course, I mean, obviously I love this guy, but Hazy booed Gritty at the Penguins' morning skate. He was out there just practicing, putting some shots on, getting ready. He's still out for the Penguins right now, obviously, but he was out there practicing a little bit. And Gritty was also on the ice, in the stands, actually. And he had, those Nerf footballs that, make a lot of noise when you throw them? He had a bunch of those and was practicing getting them in, a chuck-a-puck bucket on the ice. And he missed every time. So Hazy was booing him from the Penguins bench. And it was great. I saw this video on Twitter. Some real insider journalism from Penguins practice in Philadelphia. But yeah, it was great to see. Gritty sucks. I hate that guy. If you couldn't tell, I really don't like the Philadelphia Flyers, which is why our next winner of the week goes to the police dog that pooped on the Flyers logo at center ice. Now, this obviously makes no sense. I have no idea what the context is for this, but I saw this video on Twitter where there was, I'm sure it was after Flyers practice, because there was one of the Flyers on the ice in a practice jersey. But there was several police officers out there with canine dogs, with their police dogs. And they were out at center ice, and they were sort of just walking around. And then all of a sudden, one of the dogs makes his way over to the very center of the logo in the ice and just takes a big steaming poo right on the middle. Right on the middle of the Flyers logo. And oh my gosh, I was dying laughing. But what a good dog. I mean, truly, what a good dog. He's out there protecting and serving the community and also taking craps on the Flyers logo. But yeah, it was great. And I have the picture up here too for you to see. And it was just, it's incredible. It's really funny. So our next two winners of the week are going to go to two different tweets that I saw because they were just too funny. The first tweet is from Holly on Twitter, and it reads, Bedard getting goal 6 and Nazar getting goal 7 is kind of poetic if you think about it. And that's so true. I mean, truly, it is poetic to think things 6 and things 7 go on to score their 6th and 7th goals. It really is beautiful. Hockey is beautiful. But yeah, I thought this tweet was funny. I see a lot of funny tweets. We could honestly have a whole segment on this show where I just talk about funny tweets that I see. And who knows, that could be something I do someday. But yeah, this one was good. The next tweet is, I don't remember what the Twitter handle is, but it's a little, those little teeny mates that you can get in the blind bags. I have the picture up here for you to see, but it's a little teeny mate of Alex Ovechkin inside of a bottle, and the tweet reads, "Gold 900, not on my watch, your local Etsy witch." So basically, it was during the Caps versus Stars game, and whoever this person was put the little tiny Ovi in a bottle and put him in there to make sure he wouldn't score his 900th goal against the Stars. And you know what? I respect it, because that is totally something I would do. Something silly like that. I would totally do something like that. And honestly, I might steal that idea. I need to know where to get that little bottle, because I do in fact have an Alex Ovechkin teeny mate that I could put in a little bottle. Good luck, Caps fans. And just wait until I get my hands on a Trevor Zegras teeny mate. Y'all don't stand a chance. All right, so we have 2 more winners here. And obviously we had a lot this week, but you know, there was a lot going on hockey social media this week, so I just had to pick all the ones I possibly could. But this next winner is social media related, because the winner is the Blackhawks TikTok admin. Because this Halloween, they made sure not to kill their star player by giving Connor Bedard a peanut-free trick-or-treat bag, which I just thought was cute. You know, that's real thoughtful. Obviously, you don't want to give your star player a Snickers or something when he's allergic to peanuts. I just thought that was sweet. Not only did they do that and make sure they didn't kill Connor Bedard, but the trick-or-treat bags themselves were made up of candies from like the countries that all of the players are from. So like they got candies from every country that every Blackhawks player was from and put it in a candy bag. Like, that's so sweet. They're so thoughtful. So shout out to the Blackhawks admin. You guys are doing some good work over there. Not only are you posting those 6-7 TikToks, but you're thoughtful, and I appreciate you. And finally, our last winner of the week also has to do with Halloween, and a Halloween costume, in fact. And this winner of the week is the winner of Halloween. This is the off-size and on-one winner of Halloween, and it's gonna go to the Winnipeg Jets. Obviously, the Blackhawks and the Sharks both had really good Halloween costumes, but nobody beats these Jets, because this Halloween weekend, Luke Shen, Hayden Fleury, Connor Hellebuck, Josh Morrissey, and Neil Ponick went as the Backstreet Boys, and their partners dressed up as the Spice Girls. Is that not the cutest thing in the entire world? Also, I'm almost 100% sure I said Neil's last name wrong, but hey, you know what? I don't feel like Googling it, and that's a hard name to pronounce, so sorry. But is that not the cutest idea ever? Also, the picture that you can see here of them all, literally, I saw that on Instagram and I laughed out loud. It was so funny. It's such a good idea. They did the pose. It was so great. The Backstreet Boys group and the Spice Girls, they all look so cute. So the Winnipeg Jets are the ultimate winners of Halloween this year. But yeah, that's going to do it for the winners this week. There was a lot this week. Shockingly, there's only one loser this week. So let's go ahead and get into that. Alright, so like I said, there's only one loser this week, and they are the biggest loser. The biggest loser. And it's going to ESPN. The way that ESPN covers hockey makes me nauseous. And I know that I am not the only person that feels this way, because lots and lots of people actually on social media reciprocated my feelings when I went searching for it, because it feels like ESPN is throwing people in these positions to cover hockey games that know nothing about hockey. That's really what it feels like. I saw a TikTok, and I don't remember who it was from, but he was like, and the players are going out there with the stick, and they hit the puck down to the middle, and they skate up the side. Literally, that's what it feels like watching an ESPN covered hockey game. And the panel, literally, don't even get me started on the panel. I thought maybe TJ Oshie would bring a little bit of excitement and happiness to this panel, but Mark Messier is just so life-sucking. The evil vampire overlord that Mark Messier is so life-sucking on that panel that not even TJ Oshie can fix it. And I know that was harsh on Mark Messier, but I am scared of him. I'm scared of him. And I know I'm not the only one, because people on Twitter also feel the same way. But yeah, the panel is terrible. the commentators aren't very good. The amount of times that I heard them say during the Battle of Pennsylvania, mind you, not even during the Stars Caps game, when's Ovi going to score 900? Tune in to watch the Caps Stars game to see if Ovi scores 900. Literally probably 30 times they mentioned this. Not only that, but during overtime, people, of the Battle of Pennsylvania, the kickoff to the Frozen Frenzy, the last seconds of overtime, ESPN decided to do a split screen to show the first few boring minutes of the Caps Stars game, because maybe with a slim itty bitty chance that Ovi scored in the first 2 minutes of that game, they said, oh yeah, let's throw that on. Let's throw a split screen right now with 30 seconds left in overtime. Are you on crack? Literally, ESPN, what are you doing? Just what are we doing? Also, the amount of times that I heard Andrei Smetsnikov, like with SM Smetsnikov on the ESPN broadcast was unbelievable. Like, if I'm not a Canes fan, but if I heard that over and over and over, I would have started to lose my mind. Like, I lose my mind when people say Malkin instead of Malkin. But Smetsnikov, it's Svechnikov. He's Russian. There is no M in Svechnikov. Please and thank you, ESPN. Please. It takes one Google. And I know I mispronounce people's names on this show. I know I do it. But listen, not ones like that. Not ones like that, babe. All right, so yeah. That's really all I have to say about that, because ESPN, fix it. Fix it. Quit having people that cover football and baseball and basketball cover hockey when they don't know what they're talking about. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. That's all I ask, is that we have people that know hockey cover hockey, you know? And people maybe with a little bit of life in them. Maybe not Mark Messier. Please get rid of Mark Messier. I'm scared of him. He scares the children. He looks like a vampire. He looks like the guy from Salem's Lot. He looks like the big scary blue vampire in Salem's Lot. So please, everybody on ESPN, hire me and I'll do it. I'll do all of it. I'll be like an octopus. I'll have like 800 arms. I'm doing the broadcast, like, I'm doing the graphics, but I'm also commentating the game, and then I'm also on the panel. But keep Mark Messier away from me. I'm scared of that guy. He's bald. He's bullying people with hair. Okay, anyway, that's it. Yeah, ESPN's the loser this week. Sorry, Mark Messier, but shit, I'm scared of you, so that's all I got for winners and losers of this week. And now we're going to get into, of course, Bag O hockey cards. Now we're going to go ahead and get into Bag O hockey cards. If you're new here, this is a segment where I have a tote bag full of hockey cards ranging from the 1990s till now. And I basically just pick a card and read it to you, tell you about it, and that's it. Sometimes it can also even be an omen for the week ahead, if that's something you're into. Like last week, we got Phil Kessel, and I took that as a good omen going into the rest of the week. So let's see who we go ahead and pull this week. I'm going to get the bag a mix. All right. I've got a card, and the bag has spoken. Let's see who it is. Oh, it's another victory card like last week, but this week, it's Jason Spezza. That's a pretty good pick, I would say. I feel like that's a good omen for the week. This card is from 2009, 2010. It's Jason Spezza on the Sens. He scores a lot of goals, this guy. Jason Spezza, not a bad hockey player, that's for sure. But honestly, I don't really know what to say. It's not really somebody we have to go ahead and give a Google or anything. I think most hockey fans know about this guy, so we don't really have to Google that. But yeah. It's a pretty good card. I would say that's a good omen looking into the week. So everybody keep Jason Spezza in the back of your mind. If you're having a bad week, just think about Jason Spezza. And if you don't like him, well, maybe don't think about him. But you know what? It's whatever. But yeah, that's our pick for this week. Not bad, not bad. You know who I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about Danny Heatley is who I'm thinking about. I see Jason Spezza and I think Danny Heatley. with 50 and 07. Alright, everyone. So I think that wraps up this week's chaotic episode. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and share this with your friends if you enjoyed this episode. Give this video a like and subscribe if you want more hockey content. Check out the description. I have my TikToks and social medias linked. And follow us everywhere on social media. Actually, not everywhere. It's Instagram, TikTok, and obviously here on YouTube, subscribe. And then follow my personal account, which is also linked in the description on TikTok, because I post on there way more. And frankly, the TikToks are hilarious. So, yeah. Go check those out, and come back next week if you want some more hockey content. I appreciate you all, and I'll see you next week with another episode. Adios, everyone.